Welcome back to Let's Talk Sports. I'm CJ Tully, and today I want to talk about the utter downfall of the Baltimore Orioles. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. And before we go too far as to where the Baltimore Orioles are now, we need to take a few steps backward and look at where they were just a few short years ago. In 2022, the Baltimore Orioles really started to put themselves on the map with their young stars such as Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. This then amounted to 2023 when this team seemingly peaked. They finished 101-61, finishing number one in the American League. They had a plus 129 run differential, and they ended up losing in the ALDS. But this is where the team really started to peak, and this is where everything started to become the Baltimore Orioles world. You look at what this lineup was doing, and like I said, Gunnar Henderson coming on the scene just a year before, he finished with a 255 average and 814 OPS, 29 doubles, 28 home runs, and 82 RBIs. Gunnar Henderson had himself a peak year within his career. You can also look at Adley Rutschman, who followed him up and was a great counterpart to what this lineup was doing. He finished with a 277 average and 809 OPS, 31 doubles, 20 home runs, and 80 RBIs. And for me, the cherry on top of all of this was the veteran star in Anthony Santander. Now, Anthony Santander I don't think gets enough love for when you look back on this Orioles team. He had 257 average, a 797 OPS, 41 doubles, 28 home runs, and 95 RBIs. Again, when you put together what this lineup was able to do, it was the young stars playing at absolute peak form and playing well with the veteran stars as well. Quick message from me: if you like the content you see here on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. Check me out on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Talk Sports, and all my content on letstalksports.com. Get back to the video. 2023 was also probably the last year we saw a really strong rotation and bullpen for this Orioles team. This has been their problem every year since. But this year you had Kyle Gibson as your ace, 15-9 on the season with a 4.73 ERA and 157 strikeouts. You followed him up with Dean Kremer. He was 13-5 with a 4.12 ERA and 157 strikeouts as well. And finally, Kyle Bradish had himself a year, 12-7 with a 2.83 ERA and 168 strikeouts. That was your starting rotation. Those were the biggest stars on that. But you even look at this bullpen. Mike Baumann went 10-1 with a 3.76 ERA. And Felix Bautista, this is when he really popped up as well. 8-2 record with a 1.48 ERA. This 2023 season was absolutely where this Orioles team peaked, and they may have peaked a little too early. You then move on to 2024, and this is where everyone was saying, okay, this Orioles team was young. They got there. They were the number one seed. How are they going to follow it up? And they took a step backward. They finished 91-71. Definitely not a bad record. They got a wild card matchup with the Kansas City Royals, where they ended up being swept in 2 games. Last season in 2025, how could the Orioles match up with all of this? Maybe they had an off year in 2024, but they only continued to take a step backward. They finished 75-87, fourth in the division, and they missed the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. Now here we sit in 2026. They're 21-29. They're 13 games back in the division, 3.5 games out of the wild card, and have a minus 59 run differential. This Orioles team did take steps this year to improve the lineup. They brought in Taylor Ward, who's been a nice piece with the best average on the team right now. He's hitting 257 with 2 home runs and 14 RBIs. He does have 792 OPS, so he's been a great part at the top of this lineup. They also brought in Pete Alonso for some great pop, and I thought Pete Alonso was going to absolutely change what this lineup was able to do. The power was much needed in this lineup. Pete Alonso comes on. He's hitting just 228 with 9 home runs and 28 RBIs. Definitely would have liked a bigger impact from him so far this season, but again, still early. But again, Pete Alonso being their biggest addition, we were hoping to see some more out of him within the early parts of the season. A couple of years ago, you brought in Tyler O'Neill, and he right now just has a 159 average, 2 home runs, and 7 RBIs, not amounting to much here on this Orioles team. He would have been another great, powerful piece in this outfield to really add some average and pop. Now you look over here at the 2 biggest stars, especially with Jackson Holliday being out. You needed Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman to step up. This season, Gunnar Henderson hitting just 220 with a 687 OPS, 10 home runs, and 24 RBIs. For Adley Rutschman, it's been a bit of a better season for him. A 266 average at 827 OPS, 7 home runs, and 26 RBIs. We know he's been in and out with injuries as well, and your backup's been playing well there for the Orioles, but this lineup just hasn't really been able to outdo what the pitching has been able to do. And we look at what this pitching has been. They also tried to improve there, bringing in Shane Baz from the Tampa Bay Rays. He's just 1-5 with a 4.87 ERA. Kyle Bradish just 2-6. Chris Bassett, he's 3-3. You brought him in here this past season. He has a 5.44 ERA. And Trevor Rogers 2-5 with a 6.18 ERA. The Orioles are now coming off being swept by the Rays to having an upcoming weekend series with the Detroit Tigers. Maybe a get-right weekend for them. Again, just 3.5 games out of the wild card at this point in the season. But this is a Baltimore Orioles team that may have peaked way too early in 2023 when all the pieces were aligning. Everybody has seemingly taken a step back, and this pitching has just not been able to get it right. What do you guys think, though? Can the Baltimore Orioles turn it around, get in the wild card, and this young talent finally get back to that 2023 form? Or have we seen the best of the Baltimore Orioles with this regime?